Death, the great unknown. Is it the ultimate evil or the gateway to a new life? Socrates observed that although we have no idea what death is, we fear it as the greatest evil. But for Christians, Muslims and Jews, physical life on earth is just a preparation for a life elsewhere. There are two places the dead can go. One offers eternal bliss, the other eternal torment, hell. So why do we fear that what lies beyond life is suffering forever? Ancient Egypt, 2600 BC. It was here in the desert, west of the Nile, at the gateway to the Underworld, that the bodies of Egyptians were embalmed or mummified. This elaborate process took anything from 2 to 70 days. The body was dried with sodium, rubbed with oils and wrapped in linen. And treated this way, the corpse would stay intact for all of eternity. The embalmers wore masks of black jackals. Jackals were commonly seen scavenging around the tombs, but for the Egyptians, the jackal-headed god Anubis was the mummy's escort to the next world.
In the earliest times, the sky goddess Nut and the earth god Geb produced offspring, Osiris and Isis. But Osiris and Isis had an evil brother, Seth, who, with his wife Nephthys, plotted against them. One night, Nephthys crept into Osiris's bed. When Nephthys gave birth to a baby, it had the head of a jackal. This was Anubis. Nephthys then tried to kill off Osiris once and for all. She took Osiris's measurements secretly while he was asleep. She had a sarcophagus made. And then, at a festival, she announced she would give it to anyone who could fit into it. Osiris fitted perfectly, and Nephthys and the other conspirators slammed the lid down and threw it into the Nile. Osiris floated down the river and ended up in the reed beds of the Nile Delta. One night, Seth, out hunting boar, found it and cracked it open. In a fury, he cut Osiris into 14 pieces and scattered them across the country. When the inconsolable Isis heard of these events, she took Anubis and Horus, her son, to search for all the parts of Osiris. Anubis then carefully pieced his father back together, and to fan life back into Osiris, Isis became a hawk. And so Osiris proclaimed himself king of the dead. He appointed Anubis his escort. As ruler of the underworld, Osiris was also judge of the dead. On reaching the underworld, the dead faced their final trial. Osiris weighed the dead person's heart in a balance against a feather. If the feather was heavier than the heart, the reward was a life of eternal happiness. If the heart was heavier, the soul was fed to the crocodile monster, Amut.
Nile crocodiles were top of the killer list. Egyptians, in shaping their myths, seemed to be of two minds about all their animal gods. The crocodile was definitely evil, and in Amut, the agent of death, not just of the body, but of the soul. The Egyptians also admired the crocodile for its strength and cunning, and the fertility it brought to the Nile. But the crocodile wasn't the worst creature of the underworld. Many underworlds are associated with violent creatures. The Hindu god of death is guarded by two fierce dogs, each with 4 eyes. In East Africa, some tribes regard hyenas as mystic beasts, which devour the dead. It's believed that the glowing spirits of the dead can be seen inside the hyena through its luminous eyes. For the Jews, the jaws of sea monsters, like the whale that swallowed Jonah, were entrances to hell. The underworld means fire. In many cultures, humanity's greatest advance has been the acquisition of fire. Fire was traditionally used to purify farmland, to cleanse it of stubble and weeds. And the key Old Testament reference is, "All that do wickedly shall be stubble, and the day that cometh shall burn them up." Fire will destroy all. It comes from the sky or out of the earth and obliterates whatever it touches. Volcanoes or forest fires out of control, destroying people and their homes. Burning hurts. And what more unbearable torment could there be than an eternity of burning without ever burning up? Beasts, fire, and then water. Many underworlds lie on the far side of a body of water. For Jews, the river Jordan separates this world from the promised land. The Babylonians traversed the river Hubor to reach the place of no return. But ancient Greeks had to cross the most famous river of all, the Styx.
Called the River of Hate, the water is black, steaming, and poisonous. And on one bank is a mob of anguished, silent souls. There's no substance to them, no logic, just the ability to feel loss and pain, and despair that their families buried them without an obelisk in their mouth, the coin that Charon the boatman demands. They've entered the underworld, but without the fee, they must wait 100 years to reach the shores of Hades. For the souls with coins, Hermes is their escort. A god, the son of Zeus, he guides the dead to Hades and helps them cross from the known to the unknown world. Only when his boat is full does the grim Charon push away.
Hades was named after its ruler, the god Hades, brother of Zeus and Poseidon. Zeus had commandeered the heavens, Poseidon the sea, and Hades was left with the underworld, a place for souls, all souls, to spin out eternity.
The souls land on Hades, unsure what they'll find. Gates rise out of the mist, and in front of them is a monstrous, vicious-looking, 3-headed dog. This is Cerberus. He keeps all mortals out and all souls in.
Evidently, the Greeks had no high regard for dogs. They kept them, but only as working animals. Otherwise, they were considered the lowest of the low. In the poet Homer's opinion, the absolutely worst thing for a man was to die and have his genitals torn off by dogs. And if you were a Greek and really hated someone, you'd not only kill that person, you'd leave him unburied so that the dogs could eat him.
The first stop in Hades is judgment. New arrivals are confronted by the judges, among them Minos, Rhadamanthus, and Iacchus. They may also meet Themis, the goddess of justice. Minos in particular has a talent for spotting impure souls. He can see cracks in them, and when he does, that soul is dispatched to Tartarus, the place of perpetual punishment. But a soul that passes these tests will spend eternity in Elysium, the land of the blessed.
In the earliest version of the Greek underworld, in Homer's time, about 700 BC, souls were seldom judged, but lived out eternity as shadows of their former selves, with little possibility of happiness, development, least of all, rebirth. Hades, when thought to exist at all, was mostly just a ghostly cavern where the souls grieved their lost existences. But the Greek Golden Age, 200 years later, was a more optimistic time. Followers of the mystic mathematician Pythagoras believed that their immortal souls would acquire a measure of divinity. Pythagoras perceived the afterlife as a time when the soul was cleansed and rewarded for good behavior in life by a blissful time with the gods. Later, Plato, in about 360 BC, imagined a much harsher judgment by consigning the sinful soul to an eternity of torture in Tartarus.
Getting into Tartarus means going past another monstrous gatekeeper, the multi-headed serpent, the Hydra. The souls despair as they see other souls writhing in pain from their carefully designed punishments. There's the once king of Corinth, Sisyphus, for example, rolling a rock up a mountain, only to have it, just before it reaches the top, roll back down again. Sisyphus' suffering avenges his rape of Zeus's niece. His punishment mimics his lifelong struggle with sexual desire. And over there is Ixion. Not content with killing his father-in-law, he tried to rape Hera, Zeus's wife, and now he endures a punishment also personally designed by Zeus. In the dark is Cerberus, making certain no souls escape from Tartarus. Terrifying enough to anybody, to a Greek, he is beyond imagination. 3 heads snarling and drooling out sulphurous dog breath. But one man did get in and out again, Heracles. Heracles was assigned 12 labors, all impossible, as punishment for killing his wife and children. He was actually innocent. Zeus's wife drugged him and drove him mad. But Heracles had to perform his tasks anyway. One of them was to capture Cerberus.
Unlike Heracles, most of us can't return from the dead and describe what the afterlife is like. So where do these notions of an afterlife come from? There seems to be a natural human refusal to accept that anything as vibrant as life can ever be over. In some societies, people believe they can experience the separation of the soul and the body while still living. Drugs can induce this feeling. Most hallucinogens are made from plants and are designed to attack the nervous systems of creatures trying to eat them. But when used by a human being, by a shaman during a tribal ritual, for example, they can induce the feeling of living beyond the body. There are also near-death experiences. There are many theories about what might cause these: extreme fear, oxygen starvation, even the desire to believe in an afterlife. Many near-death experiences happen in hospitals, where a patient may be, according to machines, showing no brain activity at all, yet a few moments later he may be revived by a respirator. In a typical experience of those few minutes, and there is a striking uniformity about them, the person leaves his or her body and floats upwards. One man even described things on top of a hospital cabinet that he could never have seen from his bed. People speak of a sensation of well-being, of a wind tunnel and speeding towards warm light. Equally, there are accounts of frightening apparitions and blackness. Survivors commonly think they have experienced the imagery of heaven or hell. Near-death experiences when ideas about hell were first being formed. The classic Christian hell, the one described by the 14th century Italian poet Dante in the Inferno, is pictured in meticulous detail. Dante had over 2,000 years of underworld myth behind him, and he undoubtedly drew some ideas from the Greeks, others from the Muslim Quran. His Christian hell was a pit, a conical one, with 7 levels or rings. Dante's guide to hell is the Roman poet Virgil, honored by Christians for having forecast Jesus' birth. He's a gentle spirit, saddened by the terrible spectacles he must show to visitors. From the circles of upper hell, where the torments are a little less horrific, he leads Dante to the agonies of the 3rd ring.
You enter and are immediately confronted by smoke and steam, and muddied and twisted human forms and their moans and screams. The 3-headed Greek dog, Cerberus, stalks through the human wreckage, pausing to eat parts of the bodies. For this is the hell of gluttony. The overindulgent are confined here, where they starve eternally and are eaten, and then eaten again.
The Christian hell has a smaller cast of leading characters than the Greek underworld. For medieval Europe, it was a vision of massed souls, all being punished in diverse ways for diverse sins. Medieval Europeans, steeped in religious fear, believed all authority came from the pulpit, and the terror of hell was a prime way of enforcing that authority. It was a cruel time, with constant wars, plagues, and famines. Punishments were excessive. The guilty might be beheaded, burnt, mutilated, or hanged, drawn and quartered. Hell, to be believable, had to be even worse than the torment of life. People were desperate for some kind of ultimate justice that righted the wrongs of the world. But the Christian underworld offered an opportunity that Hades didn't. Purgatory. For all practical purposes, it was as awful as hell. But if the soul endured enough pain, the sins would be burnt away.
Virgil takes Dante to the Ring of Abominable Sand, the place for people who've committed violence against God and nature. Here, the skies are open, and the souls are lying on their backs on burning sand, facing the open sky. It's raining fire from the heaven they insulted. The last stop is the very bottom of hell, and reserved for the worst sin of all, treason, betrayal. No fire at this depth, instead ice, with the traitors' souls frozen inside. And at the center of it all, Lucifer himself, eternally devouring the soul of Judas Iscariot, the man who betrayed Jesus.
Lucifer means light bearer and refers to Venus, the morning star. As one of God's archangels, he aspired to outshine God, and for his impertinence was thrown out of heaven like a meteorite. The other name for him is Satan, which in Hebrew means adversary. By this name, he only appears in 4 books of the Old Testament, in Chronicles, Zechariah, and Psalms, and as the angel sent by God to torment Job. So how did Lucifer and Satan merge into the classic winged devil with his tail, horns, and cloven hooves? In the period before the New Testament, Jewish beliefs were changing under the influence of other civilizations. From Persia came stories of 2 opposing gods, one good, one evil, and the idea of an evil god, Satan, entered Jewish mythology. Even Satan's lieutenant, Beelzebub, kept his original Persian name. And Lucifer? That's the name the hated Babylonian king, Nebuchadnezzar, was given in the book of Isaiah. By the 4th century, Saint Jerome was describing Nebuchadnezzar as an incarnated devil for the misery he'd caused the Jews. Jerome put Lucifer together with Satan. The Christian Church has always insisted that man must rise above the beast within. The devil was that beast, and what better image for him than something half man, half beast? In Greek myth, the Church found a perfect model for the devil, Pan, human from the waist up, goat from the waist down, the incarnation of lust and drunkenness. Until our modern age, the prospect of hell haunted everyone, even those not inclined to believe in the place. There's no knowing if hell, or the hellish punishments people feared, kept crime rates down or morality up. But by the time of the American and French revolutions, there was an increasing belief in the possibility of earthly justice. This was the beginning of an age of science, when hell's existence was disputed by many. The old Christian certainties were not answering the questions this new age of reason was raising. Will science ever be able to say whether there is an afterlife? And what about those near-death experiences? As medicine advances, so does the number of people who reach the brink of death and are brought back, some 25,000 in recent years, from all over the world. If science now explains nature better than religion, can we find out if there is a soul? Do we really live on? Could near-death experiences demonstrate that consciousness could exist beyond the human body? Many people, among them scientists, are convinced that if it could be proved that during a near-death experience the patient saw things that were impossible for him to have known by other means or to have imagined, then it would suggest the likelihood of some kind of life beyond the body. But would that be a life of happiness or torment? Since most near-death experiences are visions of joy, we can only hope that perhaps hell has had its day.